All right, so we are recording, and my name's Robin Sanabria. I'm a psychologist with USI Counseling Center, and we are so fortunate today to have Religious Life with us today and our Coffee with the Counseling Center. And the whole point of this discussion is to show what presence the university what presence Religious Life has on the university, and then also to talk a little bit about available programming and that kind of stuff. And that way everybody can have a resource to look at on our YouTube channel. So that's a little bit about what we're doing today. And we are recording in case anybody should call in. But so let's go ahead and get started. Why don't y'all tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me where you're from, interests, unique talents you might have, and how you became interested in working with Religious Life. How about that?
Sounds good. You want me to go first?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Okay. My name is Sydney Beard. I am from a small town called Robinson, Illinois. I'll be a senior this year, so I've had my time at USI. It's been great. And I got connected with Religious Life in a couple different ways. I have attended several of the different campus ministries that we have, and I also had an idea for an event, different worship nights, and I went to Religious Life to get that started, and I worked with them through all of that. And I don't know what my unique talent is, but yeah, that's me.
Well, I think unique is that you're from Robinson, Illinois. That makes you unique, right?
Okay. All right.
Now, oh, I got it. Do they have white squirrels in Robinson, Illinois, or is that only?
It's an only. We don't have those here.
Only in Olney. They didn't go because it's in Robinson north of Olney.
Yeah.
So those little squirrels didn't venture up, huh?
I guess they did not. No.
Poor guys. Okay. Have you seen a white squirrel before?
No, I haven't seen one.
Oh my God. Okay. Never mind. Forget the squirrel. Okay. Who's next? Who wants to introduce yourself next?
Well, I will. I'm Chris Hain. I'm the director of Religious Life. I've had my introduction to Religious Life really came in part. I was worked with the housing half-time and with campus ministry part-time. And I found that campus ministry was where my heart was. And so I've been here on campus since 1999. So I enjoy working with students. I'm from New Harmony, raised on a farm, still live on my family farm, and a unique talent, I learned how to crochet like 2 years ago. So that's my unique talent now.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. And Christian, certainly last but not least, tell us a little about yourself and how you're connected and what's going on.
So I'm Christian Barrett. I first got connected with campus life in general. I was a resident assistant for a couple of years while I attended USI, but then also was involved in a student campus ministry during that time. Graduated, got stepped away from campus ministry for about a year, and now I'm on staff at Westwood Church doing campus ministry as well.
Very cool.
That's how I got reintroduced back to USI.
Great. Unique talent?
I don't think I have a unique talent as well.
Come on.
I like to play basketball. It's not that unique in Indiana, though. So.
What about ultimate frisbee?
Never played a day in my life.
Oh my gosh, you're my hero.
Well,
Okay.
that's it. That's my unique talent. I'm Chris's hero.
Oh, look at that. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what is unique about Religious Life programming at USI.
Well, we have different student organizations, and then the Religious Life also, our office kind of works with the campus ministers to know the rules and regulations, but also the opportunities when different events come around, whether it's Spring Fest or the opening events, Welcome Week, Move In. We have, in the past, we've done like a pancake breakfast for freshmen moving in, kind of introduce them to our religious groups. We do once a year, we have all the groups together for a religious service at the beginning of the year. Now then, that's one of the things that Sydney began working on and has done a great job with, is bringing all the groups together for a praise and worship night throughout the year. And Sydney, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So like I mentioned earlier, I've kind of been involved in a lot of the different ministries, and I have friends in all of them. And so I had attended the worship service that Chris talked about at the very beginning of the semester, my freshman year. And that's how I kind of got involved in some of those. And I loved it. I thought it was awesome. And I thought it would be a good idea to try to do more of those. And I liked the idea of it being ran by USI students, but not necessarily ran from one ministry or another. I wanted it to be kind of for all of us to come together, or if you're not even involved in one of those other ministries, that's fine. And so I came to Chris with the idea, and she supported me, and we went for it. And it's been really awesome. We had, I want to say 90 students at the first one come, and maybe like 85 at the second one. And we just started that last year. So those were kind of our 2 trial runs, but I haven't talked to Chris about it yet, but I would like to do it more often this coming school year if it all works out. But it was just a cool way to get everyone involved, and, you know, people would walk by and hear what was going on and just come join. And we had a band of students from different organizations come together to lead it, and we had another student talk for like 5 minutes from a different organization, and it just was really cool. And I got a lot of really good feedback about it. People enjoyed it, so it's been fun.
Good.
It was great. It was like on a Sunday evening, and it was a really nice fellowship and opportunity for students from across the religious groups to kind of spend time together and work together. So, you know, we had hope to bring in a speaker, but we haven't been able to quite iron that out yet. But we keep working at it. We keep working at it, just like specifically for women, and kind of just to talk about what it means to be a Christian woman in today's world. You know, we're just hoping that there are all kinds of ways that we can outreach to different students and to get the message across that you know, the spiritual journey is not one you have to take by yourself. So.
Right. And college is such a defining time for your faith. And so we're just trying to reach those students. Well, we've got these 4 years they're here at USI. So we're trying, we're working on it.
Good deal. So how has religious life developed at USI? Has there always been a religious life? What's kind of the backstory on that?
Well, the backstory is that the university started in 1965 in actually Evansville proper. When they moved out here to where our current location is, it was 1972, and it was primarily a commuter campus, and there was only one student group, and it was called Ixus, which is like the Christian name, meaning just Christian. Since then, we have a Saudi Arabian group. We have a spiritual diversity group. We still have quite a few different Christian denominations that and you can check out our website. We also, the idea is that this property here, that's the university, used to be owned by the Catholic Diocese. So I actually do work for the Catholic Diocese, but I work as the director, helping to implement the campus ministers into the life of the campus. And so the idea is that instead of being a spiritual life office, it's a religious life office, because it's a journey together. And to me, religious life means we're in this together. A spiritual life is kind of an individual walk, but a religious life is a walk together. And so part of understanding wellness is understanding there's a spiritual component to it, and that and the human component of needing to be in community and to be appreciated and to gather and to express that part of you is very vital. And so the university recognizes it as a valuable entity in total development of the student. And one of the things I tell people is that our university, its mission statement ends with a line that goes, to help students live wisely in community. And I think our religious traditions have that wisdom. You know, we have the wisdom literature that we share to make an understanding. I mean, we've been doing it for thousands of years. So I think that's kind of the history of how it came to be that this office is, because you won't find many state schools that have a religious life office on campus run and interacting with student affairs the way this one does. So we also offer on our website area churches and service times, and if they provide rides to their events, to their services and things. The Spiritual Diversity Project we started maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and that's to really educate students on the various religious traditions in our community, whether it's the mosque or the Jewish temple or the Buddhist Sangha. And we just try to help people understand, even with the Hindu temple now is being built here in Evansville area. So it's just kind of appreciation for the global nature of our community also. So did that answer it?
Pretty much, yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like you have representation from, would you say, the majority of different religions here on campus?
Yeah, if you know, sometimes we have, like, we don't have a Seventh-day Adventist group, but we do have a community that meets here in Evansville. And if students can't find what they're looking for on campus, I will assist them in helping find connections to the faith community of their choice, or no choices. I'm sure if anybody's aware that the current trends are, they're called nuns, you know, that they don't believe in any kind of faith or have any kind of spiritual higher being, or whatever you want to call it, God for sure. And so we're trying to say, we have places that people can have those conversations and talk about that. And really, you know, it's like Sydney was saying, this time in people's lives, they're looking, it may be the first time they've lost a loved one, a grandparent, a friend, or, you know, and you struggle. And those questions have more meaning now as you get older. You know, what's the purpose of my life? What's, you know, what makes it meaningful? Where am I going to end up after this? You know, and those questions, not that anybody can say, oh, this is definitely, you know, but, you know, the thing is that we have those discussions. They happen in residence halls. They happen in small group meetings. They happen everywhere on campus throughout. And to be able to give students the resources to have those discussions and to make that determination about where they're going to spend their time with their life, you know what I mean? Or where they're going to put their energy into in this life.
Great. So you have a director, you're the director.
Right.
Who else is part of the religious life team at USI? What would you say?
Hey, Christian, you want to answer that?
You know, it's the organizations that are not necessarily through USI. Obviously, I'm a part of a church, and so it's a partnership of our ministry through the church here, or their prayer church ministries, also a part of that as well. That kind of partner and come alongside a religious life in that. So those are student-ran organizations, differing degree on how they are ran and structured. So I don't know if that answers the way you would answer.
Perfectly. Because, you know, on the website, you can look at it and look like, and the only picture that you see is actually Chris. Like, makes it look like a one-person show, but the reality is you're not, right? You have
No,
no partners.
I am the only person that the university recognizes as faculty or staff. Okay. But all of our off-campus, like Christian, like Westwood Ministries, like Chi Alpha, all of our off-campus advisors meet with me. We try to meet quarterly to say, okay, how can we truly make these student-led? I mean, we're trying to empower students to own their faith journey, whichever journey they decide they want to go on, and kind of really educate them on and give them the tools for when they leave here that they can be productive citizens in their communities, you know? So we have, and if you look at our website, the different campus organizations, there are advisors listed. Usually the president of the organization is, we try to list, but also the advisor and that contact. So, and one of the unique things here at USI is that our advisors do have name badges. You know, we do give them kind of a special privilege in a way. They have access to the rec, access to the library, you know, that gives them access to students. But no, I may be the only person in the office every day, but there are people out in the field working all the time, working with students, gathering students, doing retreats, doing service opportunities, doing leadership opportunities. Yeah, no, it's not a one-person gig at all.
So it sounds like, Christian, you are part of Chris's team. As well as Sydney. So it's like a very diverse group. What is that like for you, Christian? Because you've been in this position at Westwood for how long?
So I started 2 weeks before spring break, which was the also right before quarantine began and campus shut down. So I can't really answer that question maybe as well as someone else could. So for me, my experience has been very different. I got 2 weeks of access and then haven't been on campus since. So.
Well, let me frame it this way. What do you anticipate, since this is a new thing? Because you were a student at USI and you were involved with it. So what do you anticipate your role will be like, maybe even while we deal with COVID and we start up in the fall, and then eventually, you know, things get back to normal, what that is. What do you see as your role, and how do you work with the students on campus?
You know, right now during the stay-at-home order, there was because we still had USI, the benefit many students do commute. Many students are from Evansville, so we had a benefit of being able to have some contact, whether it's on Zoom or we've recently started meeting once again just weekly to kind of just catch up. We continued our weekly Bible study through this, and then slowly beginning to branch out and have those more, all right, well, let's see what we can do for our community. And so a lot of what I'm doing kind of is meeting with students that, you know, the access to the rec, that there's no place on campus where I think probably community building happens outside of a resident hall or the apartments is probably at the rec, where people are just hanging out and enjoying friendship and developing those relationships. So just building relationships with students and speaking into them from a Christian perspective into their lives is where a lot of my kind of work on campus comes from, is just building relationships with students as they are beginning to ask those questions that, you know, I came to faith in college from asking those questions of what is my purpose in life? What is all of this about? So kind of just being there, and also being someone who walked through that experience at USI, and being able to share those experiences changes things and how people respect you and respond to what you're saying.
So very good. Let me ask you this. All of you can answer this. Feel free to jump in this, because I think a lot of times, especially incoming freshmen, incoming students, are not sure if, especially if they just graduated from high school, what role or what contact do you all have or have you had with parents? How do you connect with parents, or is it mostly, just the students?
Well, I can answer for me. My contact with parents before had been like at orientation when the students come with parents or whoever, and sometimes the parents are the ones picking up all the literature for the religious groups, and it's not the students. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But the other side of that is after school gets going, I think the first several weeks you have a tendency to have more homesickness in those first couple weeks. And I may get a call from a parent saying, so-and-so really hasn't left their apartment or their residence hall. And is there some way you can just kind of nudge them without letting anybody know that you're nudging them? And so then that's the way I get contacted with parents, other than through orientation or the beginning when people say, well, what's there? And if I have students that come and want to know about our religious stuff, I tell them exactly what Sydney did is, every group has a different personality and a different energy. We all might be focused on the same thing in a way, which is connection and growth and living our faith, but it's just a different experience with every group. So you may mesh with one group more than another group. You know what I mean? And that's the same kind of thing, because I also work with faculty members who are new to the area and are looking for a church community. And I used to say, well, do you want to hang from the chandeliers, or do you want to, you know what I mean? Like, what are you looking for? And so, you just have to look and see where your heart and where your mind is comfortable in worshiping. And I think, some of our student groups are praise and worship on, a different night of the week and have a message, and it's almost like a church service in a way. Yes, there's small groups and small group Bible studies and different events, but for some students, it's just that connection to faith that they're looking for, that worship opportunity. So I don't know. What do you think, Christian?
I don't know if I've had. It's different to being in a church, because so some of our students, their parents do already attend our church, so there's some relationship with parents built in there naturally, being at the church. And there's only been there's been one time where I think I've had a parent ask me specifically about how their students doing in a spiritual aspect, but it's, never without the students' consent or acknowledgement that it's happening. And I think that's probably just a part of growing up as well. I think you probably would see it more with the freshmen. I could see Chris handling those conversations of, oh, like, we really want our son or daughter to be involved, but they're just kind of isolating themselves in their rooms. I don't have any experience in those conversations. As a student, I saw a little bit more of that, being like a student in a campus ministry, because I was also involved in some different areas in campus life, from student ambassadors to being an RA. You interacted with parents on a different level there. It was just great. It's a great opportunity to talk to parents, and your parents know their children better than probably anybody, even though children might say that's not the case. So.
But I think, like you said, I think it's important for students to know that this is for them, and parents may reach out or whatever, but we at USI, we do respect that confidentiality, because you are now, new students becoming adults. And so, I mean, it sounds like you guys have a cool way of handling that without, putting pressure on the student or with the parents, and just, keeping that person as an adult. So, or treating that person as an adult. So that all sounds good. I'm just curious, Sydney, do you have anything to add in terms of your experiences with some of the student organizations on campus? Anything you think would be helpful for folks to know?
Yeah, sure. I would say that if you want to get involved, you can definitely find a group um, that meets what you're looking for. You might have to look around and kind of try out different ministries. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but almost 20 probably different campus ministries that you could look at. But ask around and yeah, I've had a great experience at a lot of them. I've had some where it's like a church service and I've gone in and there's phenomenal worship music and then they bring a message and it's kind of that sort of layout. I've been to one that's all girls and everything's pink and cute and you go through a book together and talk about life together. There are smaller groups where you can do Bible studies with people if that's more your style. Um, there's some that are off campus, but they're campus ministries, but they meet off campus. So they might meet in a home, and you're around a bunch of people hanging out, and there's food and dinner and snacks and stuff like that. It just depends what you're looking for. But yeah, just I would encourage people to look around and try different ones and get the one that really they feel most comfortable in and that they can find community in as well. For me, I started leading Young Life too, which is through USI, and it's totally different. We go out, it's like a leadership position. We go out and we lead in the high schools in Evansville, which has been really cool. But I didn't do that until later on. At first I was just attending some of the other ones and I'm learning a lot. And then as I've gotten older, I've kind of transitioned into Young Life. But yeah, I think there's something for everyone. I have not had a bad experience with any of them. They've all been really great, and I've met a lot of friends, if anything, through all of it.
Well,
My faith is definitely stronger.
I'm just wondering if whoever wants to answer this, how has religious life programming at USI had to adapt to the COVID? And what have you guys done through this process to stay connected?
Well, I would say I work with the Catholic students on campus, and once we went into no longer meeting on campus, a lot of our meetings went Zoom, and what I've heard from some folks is people that haven't been connected started connecting. But for us, we were connecting, 35, 40 students a week, but when we went to Zoom, we were lucky if we got 10 or 15 students to Zoom with us, because I think one was when you're at home, you have so many responsibilities that you have to do in addition to your homework and other things. And so the need that we were meeting as far as community and the other part of it is I think people got a little zoomed out. They became Zoom zombies is what I say. But today I'm on campus for the first time, just making sure the office is going to be, COVID aware before we transition in July. But a lot of our meeting rooms are now going to be not available, because if your group is bigger than 45, there's really no space. And the classroom spaces, the auditorium spaces have all been taken over by academics. So this COVID is going to rearrange. I think we're going to have to do a lot of small group communities if we're going to keep activity.
Will you still continue to do Zoom probably, you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I need to talk to our student leadership and hear what they're saying.
So
because
formulated.
Yeah, we're still just trying to figure out what this new, because I know, like for USI, my understanding is we're going to start like we normally start the date, but then after Thanksgiving, everything's kind of going virtual again, so it's going to be a different schedule, and we're not going to have fall break, which is going to make life, I remember how life was before we had a fall break. It's a long stretch. It's a long stretch. So anyway, Christian, what do you think?
Like I said, we went Zoom after spring break. They will take this week off, let us get everything prepped on our end to go everything on Zoom. And we saw a little bit of a fall off that first week, but then our regular students that had been attending, it was a break from being at home with their parents,
Oh,
with
cool.
a break from just the constant, oh, I got to get on Zoom and get lectured to for 45 minutes. It was just a time to see people that they've missed seeing, and so that was cool. And we did some little interactive things, like you can have games through Zoom. So we did the game night, little things like that. And as things have slowly begun to open up back more and more with guidelines of social distancing, we had originally been doing our study at a family home in the church on the west side, and it's a different aspect of what that looks like. And so we've actually been meeting outside at the church now instead of at the home to still kind of respect those guidelines of social distancing. And I think that's, yeah, looking into the future, it's probably going to have to remain that way to where we're social distancing as much as possible in those situations, but not allowing that to stop us from meeting unless there is a need to stop meeting.
Are there any costs or fees involved for students who participate in religious life services at USI?
No, not in the religious life services. And a lot of our groups do service to different communities. They have service opportunities. Now, retreats are a little bit different because students have to figure out a way to pay for some of the retreat opportunities, and those costs vary depending on the organization and the duration of the retreat kind of experience. But usually it's pretty good about, students are pretty good about fundraising and about doing things like that. But generally, if students can't afford something, we try to figure out ways to make it more economical for them to participate in retreats and mission trips, even and different events.
Good.
And I don't know, I don't even know what kind of mission trips are going to be available. Some of our students have done Honduras and Mexico and different things, but those are all out right now. So I'm not even sure what kind of opportunities are going to be allowed, because even here at USI, the summer camps are all not happening, and I don't know if they would have even, like folks used to do lock-ins or things like that, but I don't even know if that's going to be an option anymore.
Yeah, just have to.
It's a whole new reality of living with social distancing and masks, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all, how we find our new normal.
So, question about your involvement with other departments. So, I'm at the counseling center, and often I'll have new students, I would say, primarily freshmen, that are having adjustment problems. Those are the main ones that I have referred over. I always refer to the website and encourage them to reach out with the contacts that are listed, or to reach out to Chris. That's been my primary involvement with you all. But what would you say, Chris? And anybody else who wants to add in, what kind of involvement does religious life have with the other departments on campus? Sounds like you're involved.
Well, you have to know me personally. I'm kind of a nosy person, so I like to be involved in a lot. I like to know what's going on, So I have put together just a module for the university division classes on civil discourse and diversity. And I go and talk about how important it is to respect people and to have a good conversation, and how to have a good conversation, because we're not, we're not as a diverse community. And this is what I say to people. Some of our students feel like this is the most diverse community they've ever lived in. And some of our students are like, what? I don't see any diversity here, you know? So it's bridging that gap and that experience. And how do you talk to people, strangers, or how do you make new friends? That kind of just those conversations and how that happens. But I also work quite a bit with the international students, and as our international student population grows, I just try to reach out to folks and say, hey, this is who we are, this is who we say we want to be, you know, and help us get to there. So I'm on the student affairs staff, so of course I reach out with the counseling center. I talk with you, your department, quite a bit, and I also work to talk with social workers and folks that they're going to have practitioners working out in the field just about religion and what spirituality means to individuals and what religion means, and just helping them have those conversations with people that they meet and that they may be in a counseling center or, you know, a situation with, to say, you know, can you tell me a little bit about how you see your values or your, you know what I mean? Because it's so tied. Your spirituality is so tied to your values and your hopes and your dreams.
All very
and,
relevant to what we're going through.
oh gosh, yeah. I mean, just even trying to figure out who you are and what you want to do with your life, your major, you know? So what are your values and where do you see yourself? And you know, who do you want to be? Who are you and who do you want to be? So, so yeah, there are a lot of conversations that happen around that. And also just because, like, I actually started out in healthcare. So sometimes I bother the people in the health center just to find out what's going on.
You use the word nosy and bother, but actually it's a genuine caring that you're,
I am curious and I am caring.
right. You are the real deal, and you haven't changed a bit since
That's right. We have a long history.
so one thing for sure about Chris Haynes, she's the real deal. So one more question for you all. We kind of talked about summer and fall programming, and there's a lot of things that are up in the air. But what would you say is your advice for students who are planning to attend USI this fall? Have any thoughts? What would you say to somebody that's looking to come to USI?
I think my advice to incoming freshmen would be to get involved in something. You know, find what you're passionate about and run with it and get involved. I kind of didn't my freshman year, and I wish I would have, because that's how you build community, and that is when USI starts to feel like home. So yeah, just get involved and join what you want to join, and I think you're going to have a great 4 years at USI.
Christian, you have any advice for somebody coming in?
I think I would just echo that. Find a community. You know, Chris kind of pointed out that spirituality versus religious life, the difference in spirituality is working out on your own. Religious life is recognizing the community. And so seek that community out. You know, whether it's a community of your friends in your residence hallway or your apartment building, going to the organizations tab, going to the involvement fair, finding those places where you can find your niche. But also, you know, yes, get involved in things that you're comfortable with, but also think about the things that you're uncomfortable with. Find the place of, I have to be okay being uncomfortable at times, because sometimes that's when we grow the most, and especially in a spiritual aspect of having those conversations that we don't want to think about. Sometimes it's not comfortable to think about what is next, what is the point of my life. So not being afraid to have those conversations, just be willing to hear people out when they present a new idea to you, and respecting that individual and respecting the idea. Well, not enough to just Yes, I'll agree with whatever anybody says, but thinking genuinely about what has been brought to you and brought to the table and all ideas. Your 4 years or however long you're at USI, the time of growth that can happen in multiple different directions. Be willing to seek out personal growth in that by finding.
Great. Chris, any words of wisdom that you would like to share?
No, I'm just very grateful for this opportunity. I want to thank you, Robin, for allowing us to do this. I feel like this is such a key component and can be such a life changer for students. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and I'm hopeful for the outcomes and the growth. So
Good deal.
thank you.
All right, you guys, a minute. I'm going to stop the recording unless anybody has anything else to add. No? Okay. All right, let me stop this.